Hello. In Smogon, Pokemon have different tiers that they are ranked in depending on their usage. Some being Ubers, which are for basically all legendaries and Garchomp, and OU, which are for very used Pokemon but aren't legendary, so they're not in Ubers. There's UU for just the middling tier, good Pokemon but not good enough for OU or Ubers. And under that is like RU, PU, and NU. Today, I want to focus on NU and PU specifically, because there are lots of Pokemon you would expect to be very powerful in these certain tiers, or highly used, but they're just not. So today, I'm going to be discussing 8 instances of Pokemon that you would expect to be in high tiers, but are actually in NU and below. Now, before this video starts, I will be doing some rules. Rule number 1. I will not be discussing any starter Pokemon. There are lots of starter Pokemon in NU that I do not want to talk about, because I would be repeating myself over and over again. Because starter Pokemon look like they would be really strong and have high base stat totals. But today, I'm not going to be talking about any starter Pokemon. And rule number 2, this is all my opinion, so please don't get mad at me. I do not hate any of the Pokemon in this video. I'm just talking about these Pokemon that are surprisingly bad. So, without further ado, let's get into it. At number 8, we have Electrode. Electrode is one of the classics of Gen 1. It's almost unforgettable. Everyone remembers going into the power plant and just running into an Electrode and it blowing up in front of you. And I thought that Electrode was good, because I mainly only knew about its speed at first. And looking at its speed, it's fantastic, like freaking fantastic. It was only overthrown in Gen 3 once Ninjask got added to the game. But its speed is really only its highlight. I mean, it has okay special defense and special attack, but those are both middling at best, because they're not very good. And everything else is garbage, like its physical defense and HP. But then I thought maybe its abilities are better. They are certainly not. Sure, Aftermath is a good ability in general, and so is Soundproof overall, but Static is another one of its abilities which just isn't that good. And plus, Aftermath and Static both involve physical attacks getting put onto it in order to activate the ability. The problem with this is that its physical defense is less good than its special defense, so it's just built wrong for this setup. And plus, even if you don't use Aftermath or Static, Soundproof just isn't that good, and it's pretty situational. This was such a setback for Smogon that they put it in the PU tier of Smogon. Lots of you may be saying, but it has a Hisuian form, and I will be looking at this Hisuian form. The Hisuian form has the exact same stats as the original, so I won't be discussing stats. And so, I'm going to be discussing it. It has a, I guess, slightly better type. I mean, it adds fire as a weakness, but it also removes its flying resistance, but it also is no longer weak to ground, so I guess it kind of evens out. I also want to discuss its moveset. It's going to run a special moveset because its physical attack is garbage. And literally, it's only on original and Hisuian without stab. Its only coverage move that isn't stab is Terra Blast, which you have to terrestrialize and change it into something else. Yes, Hisuian Electrode has really good moves, like Energy Ball, but that's stab for itself. And it also gets stab from Magical Leaf and Chiro Blast, which are all good grass moves, but they're stabs, so, like, it would be weird if he didn't get those moves. My number 7 spot is Steelix. Steelix seems like this very intimidating, big, long snake creature, and it kind of is, but it also isn't. Steelix is in the NU tier of Smogon, and this doesn't really surprise me. It's not the best. And, I mean, it has good abilities, being Rockhead, Sheer Force, and Sturdy, but Sturdy is pretty useless on it unless it's going to hit it with a special attack. So, other than that, it's okay. Its typing is also good, so it has 4 weaknesses, but 3 of them being some of the best types in the game, 2 of them being good attacking types, and very common attacking types at that, being Ground and Fighting, and Water being one of the best types in the entire game. But it makes up for that. It's immune to electric, which is 1, and then 8 other resistances, effectively having 9 Pokemon types that cannot touch it. So that's pretty good defensive typing. Now we look at its stats, and it's Rampardos all over again. It is insanely good defense-wise, and then awful everything else-wise. I mean, the best other stat is its attack, and I guess you could put an argument that its HP is okay, but other than that, it's just not good. It's super slow, and it cannot take special hits. You may think it would be good on a Trick Room team, but because it can't take special hits at all, I just feel like it wouldn't even be that good there. I bet all of you are yelling at me saying, oh, but Steelix has a Mega Evolution, and it's in the UU tier of Smogon. Well, I won't really be discussing its Mega. I will be discussing Megas later in the video, but this one I'm not discussing because I feel like it's a bit more absurd that just regular Steelix has that high of a base stat total and it's still in the NU tier, which Gliscor had the exact same stat total, and it was and it was also a defensive tank, and it was in a pretty high tier at one point. Speaking of the devil, now we have Mega Glalie. Mega Glalie is Mega Evolved from a Pokemon that's pretty okay, being Glalie. It's actually not good, so it really needed a Mega, but the Mega isn't that good either. It keeps its already bad Ice type, and now has one ability, being Refrigerate, which just isn't that good. It just doesn't get enough good normal moves to make use of it. If you look at its stats, they're actually really good, having all around, like, pretty even defensive stats. It's okayly fast, and hits like a truck. But this thing is in the NU tier of Smogon, and there's a big reason for that. Why would you ever use this? Like, over all the other good Megas, Mega Gallade, Mega Gardevoir, Mega Lucario, Mega Tyranitar, Mega Kangaskhan, why would you use this over any other good Mega? And its typing is terrible. Like, again, for a Mega Evolution, it just has one of the worst typings in the entire game. Next up, we have Miss Magus. I love Miss Magus. Miss Magus is just great. It's honestly really good, and it has good defenses. And look, it only has 2 weaknesses and 3 immunities because it has Levitate. However, these benefits do not stop Miss Magus from being in the NU tier of Smogon. There can be a few reasons for this. Like, it doesn't have the best ability, making it not very good. Another one is that its stats are good. It has a good stat total, but its best stats are in special attack, special defense, and speed, which are all just okay. They're good, but not the best and not outstanding in any way, shape, or form. Its saving grace is really its moveset. I mean, look at this moveset. It's amazing. But it still doesn't stop it from going into the NU tier. Next up, we have our last Mega on the list, being Mega Abomasnow. You would expect Mega Abomasnow to be fairly good, because regular Abomasnow is also fairly good, but nope, NU tier. And so is Abomasnow, but Abomasnow is actually in the PU tier. Now, looking at its type, it's probably the worst in the game. Snow Warning, it's actually a really good ability, because it makes its Blizzard 100% accurate. I mean, come on, this type is awful. It has so many weaknesses, literally 7, one of them being 4 times being fire. And, yeah, 4 resistances, but that doesn't make up for the 7 weaknesses. Unlike Miss Magus, however, this thing does not have the best moveset. I mean, it has tons of coverage, but none of them are really powerful. I mean, it has Brick Break, but that's pretty much it. Next on the list, we have Vikavolt. Vikavolt, ever since it was introduced, it was great. It was actually one of my favorites. I loved using it in Pokemon Sword, and its typing is just bad. I mean, it's not the best, but it's like, it's okay, but it's not like the best. And Levitate is a pretty ability on it. Honestly, like Motor Drive or a Volt Absorb probably would have been better on it. I mean, yeah, it only has 2 weaknesses, both being not too common attacking types, at least not as much as Fighting and Ground, which at least it resists Fighting and Steel, which are good, and it also is immune to Ground due to Levitate. But this typing doesn't stop it from getting into the NU tier, which, honestly, I think it's in the NU tier because it's too slow and too fast. Some of you might do a double take and be like, what? What does that even mean? Well, it's slow, like really, really slow, but also too fast. Let me explain. Looking at its stats, it has a base stat speed of 43, which is awful, but it's too fast for Trick Room in my opinion. This is because there's so many 30 base speed Pokemon that are dominating Trick Room right now, and none of them are, like, putting too much investment into speed, which Vikavolt, in my opinion, is, because it has base 43 speed. So it's not really too viable with Trick Room. It's still viable with Trick Room, just not as viable for other Pokemon like Dusclops and Rhyperior. It doesn't really get that many coverage moves either. It gets like 2, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, not the best. Next, we have Seismitoad. When I was scrolling through the list of Smogon, NU, and PU tier Pokemon, I was so surprised to find Seismitoad on there. Like, honestly, I did like a double take and was like, wait, what? This is because it has one of the best abilities in the entire game, Water Ground, and all 3 of its abilities are good in some way. Its worst is probably Poison Touch, but still, it's pretty nice to have in general. At first, when you look at its stats, it may seem middling, putting too much investment into special attack. But remember, it basically doubles its speed once if it has Swift Swim, which you're most likely going to want to use, if not that Water Absorb. But yeah, it's going to make it really fast. Again, its typing is really good, having a total of 2 immunities if it uses Water Absorbed, and only 1 weakness. It is 4 times, but again, only 1 weakness. And it's immune, no, not immune, resistant to Steel, which is a very good type. Just like Abomasnow, it does lack a very strong coverage move. It has Drain Punch, Brick Break, and Bounce. I mean, Bounce can miss a lot, but other than that, those are pretty good coverage moves. Also Bulldoze to cripple. But in the end, all of these perks did not stop Seismitoad from getting into NU. And for me, I kind of see why. It's terrible in singles, and it's viable in doubles, but only if it has Swift Swim, so that's probably why. Next on the list, we have Silvally. This was another one where I took this one was a triple take. I was like, why is there a legendary in NU? But the original one, the normal one, is untiered. And I think Fairy is the best type in the game, which it probably is. And looking at it, it's in the PU tier. The Fairy one is in the PU tier, which surprised me, like, insanely. Literally, the best one, the best tiered Silvally is the Steel one in NU. Every single one is either in PU or is untiered. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense why this Steel one is in here, because it's a pretty good solid typing. I guess Fairy needs more types to back it up, but still, that's insane. And looking at its stats, I mean, you can't really go wrong with it. It has, like, the same stats all around. It's pretty good. It's kind of like Mew, but, like, way worse. And, I don't know, it's just okay. To be fair, it does have a lot of good moves. Because its attack and special attack are equal, it's going to have some really good moves to play around with. With a speed boosting nature, it can really cripple some teams. Plus, with its multi-attack move, it removes the need for you to worry about changing your moveset with the type, because it doesn't learn any Fairy by level up. This is kind of a bummer because I really like Silvally, and I use it on my team in Sword, at least on online when I play online, and it kind of kicks a lot of butt with U-turn. But honestly, I wish it could face up against other legendaries, but I guess that's just not going to happen. Thank you so much for watching the video. Spent a lot of time. This is now my longest video, which is nice. And yeah, this was a lot of fun to make, and I'll be uploading another video next week, and I hope you enjoy. So for now, thanks for watching. Bye.